When the HOA slapped me with a $5,000 fine for illegal hunting, I didn't get angry. I got even. What they didn't realize was that their beloved hiking trails, the ones they bragged about to every new resident, weren't even theirs. So I did what any rational man would do. I bought them. When I first moved to Green Valley Estates, I wasn't chasing luxury. I was chasing silence. 12 years in cybersecurity had left me craving peace, not people. The city was noise, deadlines, and fluorescent lights. Green Valley looked like a dream. Modern homes surrounded by woods and a lake that shimmered at dawn. The realtor called it a community built on harmony. She forgot to mention that harmony came with fines, rules, and a woman named Evelyn Richardson. Evelyn was the HOA president. Mid-40s, perfect posture, perfect manicure, and a smile that hid more judgment than warmth. She showed up my second day with a welcome basket that had more paperwork than cookies. Inside was a binder, regulations, restrictions, expectations. Lawn height, mailbox color, even the type of garden hose allowed. I laughed, thinking it was satire. It wasn't. Still, I followed the rules, paid my dues, waved politely, and kept to myself. Most mornings, I'd sit on my porch with coffee, listening to the forest beyond the fence line. That stretch of trees was my peace. Untouched, wild, and free. The HOA could regulate my grass, but they couldn't control the woods. At least that's what I thought. I didn't know that forest would soon become the stage for Evelyn's downfall and my revenge. Hunting wasn't a sport to me. It was family tradition. My grandfather taught me how to track, aim, and respect nature. It wasn't about trophies, it was about quiet focus. When I found out that the land bordering Green Valley stretched into hundreds of acres of forest, I felt at home again. Out of curiosity, I checked the county property maps. The land wasn't owned by the HOA at all. It belonged to an older gentleman named Frank Williams, who'd moved to Florida years ago. I found his contact information and sent him an email asking permission to hunt responsibly on his property. His reply came the next day. "Son, if you respect the land, it's yours to use. Send me a photo if you catch anything nice." That Saturday before sunrise, I headed out. Rifle, thermos, and patience. The forest was calm. Around 9, I spotted a buck near a clearing. One clean shot, quick and merciful. As I began to field dress it, I heard voices, laughter and sneakers crunching over leaves. Then came Evelyn, leading a pack of HOA women in matching yoga outfits, carrying water bottles like they were trekking Everest. She froze when she saw the deer, her face twisted from shock to fury. "What in God's name are you doing?" she shrieked, already pulling out her phone. "This is protected community land. You can't kill animals here." I explained calmly that I had permission from the actual owner. She didn't care. She took pictures, filmed video, and promised severe consequences. That was the moment I realized Evelyn didn't run a neighborhood. She ran an empire, and I had just become her next crusade. 3 days later, I found a crisp white envelope taped to my front door. Inside was a formal letter from the Green Valley Estates Association. Violation, cruel hunting practices. Fine, $5,000. Due within 30 days. I laughed at first, thought it was a bad joke. But at the bottom was Evelyn's signature, elegant and sharp. My amusement faded into anger. They had no jurisdiction outside HOA boundaries. What's next? Ticketing airplanes for flying overhead. I called my neighbor, Sarah Johnson, a kind-hearted elementary teacher who'd warned me about Evelyn before. She sighed. "She's been talking about you at the school, saying you endangered families. She uses those trails as her selling point for new homeowners." "Her trails?" I asked. "Yeah," Sarah said. "The HOA calls it Green Valley Nature Reserve. They've built benches, even hung bird feeders. But that land isn't theirs." That night, I did my research. The trails, the benches, the reserve, all built on private property that belonged to Frank Williams. Evelyn had been trespassing for years, pretending it was community land. When the next HOA meeting rolled around, I showed up. The room fell silent as I walked in. Evelyn sat at the head of the table, eyes glittering like polished glass. "Mr. Holloway," she said sweetly, "care to explain why you think it's acceptable to bring firearms into our neighborhood preserve?" I placed my folder on the table, my license, written permission, and property maps. "Because this preserve," I said evenly, "doesn't belong to you." The silence that followed could have cracked stone. Evelyn tried to maintain control. "This community has maintained those trails for years," she declared. "That gives us established usage rights." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean you've been trespassing for years?" Her vice president, Marcus Bennett, chimed in like a loyal echo. "The board feels your hunting puts residents in danger." Officer Mike Davis, a local cop and fellow resident, stood in the corner. I turned to him. "Am I breaking any laws, officer?" He cleared his throat. "Hunting's legal there. It's private property. HOA rules stop at their boundary." Murmurs filled the room. Evelyn's lips tightened. "This isn't about legality. It's about community standards," she snapped. "Then maybe," I said, "your community should learn where its borders end." That meeting ended in chaos. As I left, Evelyn hissed behind me, "You'll regret crossing me." Outside, under the flickering parking lot light, I made a decision. I wasn't just going to defend myself. I was going to end her reign. The first step, find the weak spot. Back home, I opened the county's online permit database. Within minutes, I found something jaw-dropping. An application filed by the HOA for a Green Valley Nature Park. The applicant's name, Evelyn Richardson. Blueprints, park benches, walking trails, and at the entrance, a stone sign reading Evelyn Richardson Nature Park. That was her plan all along. She wasn't protecting land. She was branding it. And that's when it hit me. If she wanted that land so badly, I'd make sure she could never step on it again. The more I dug, the uglier it got. Evelyn had been raising community improvement funds 4 years. Donations supposedly for trail maintenance. Thousands of dollars collected under false pretenses. I called Frank Williams again. He sounded tired. "I never gave anyone permission to build there," he said. "They've been using my land for years?" "Figures. I'm thinking about selling anyway. Medical bills are killing me." "Frank," I said slowly, "how about you sell it to someone who'll make sure it's respected?" He chuckled. "You want it?" "I do." We talked numbers. He wanted $750,000, steep, but fair for 80 acres of prime forest. I had savings, inheritance, and a healthy appetite for poetic justice. I told him to get a lawyer. Next, I called Amanda Lewis, a real estate attorney I'd worked with once before. She reviewed the paperwork and smiled. "You realize once this closes, you'll own everything the HOA has been trespassing on?" "I realize," I said. While we worked on the deal, Evelyn escalated her war. New violation notices appeared. Trash can placement, driveway oil stains, even grass too tall. Petty harassment. I ignored them all. By the time the sale closed, I was ready. The deed was in my name. The trails, the benches, the park mine. That night, holding the deed under my porch light, I smiled for the first time in weeks. Evelyn thought she'd buried me under fines. She had no idea I'd just bought the ground beneath her throne. The next morning, right on cue, Evelyn showed up at my door with Marcus. She held a legal envelope like a weapon. "Mr. Holloway," she began crisply, "the HOA has voted to pursue legal action. You have 48 hours to pay the fine or face a lien on your property." I smiled. "You know what? Let's talk inside." She blinked, thrown off by my politeness. They followed me into the living room. I placed a folder on the coffee table and slid it toward her. "What's this?" she asked. "My response," I said. She opened it, the property deed. Her name froze mid-word as her eyes scanned the page. Marcus leaned over, his jaw slackening. That's Frank Williams' land," Evelyn stammered. "Was," I corrected. "As of yesterday, it's mine, which means every trail, every bench, every bird feeder the HOA installed is trespassing on my property." She went pale. "You can't." "I can," I interrupted calmly. And I will. Here's a cease and desist order from my attorney. You have 7 days to remove all HOA property from my land. After that, I'll consider it abandoned. Evelyn's face twisted into fury. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Oh, I do, I said, smiling. You're the woman who just lost her park. They left in silence, faces like ghosts. That afternoon, I ordered private property signs, security cameras, and a fresh pot of coffee. The next phase had begun. By nightfall, the neighborhood was buzzing. Some thought I'd gone too far. Others secretly cheered me on. Evelyn called an emergency HOA meeting. She painted me as a hostile landowner destroying community unity. But whispers were spreading about the fake park, the illegal trails, the money. Sarah texted me mid-meeting. Half the board's turning on her. I smiled. The cameras I'd installed caught footage of Marcus and 2 other members sneaking onto my land to tear down my new signs. I sent the clips straight to my attorney and the local sheriff's office. By morning, the sheriff personally called Evelyn, warning her to stay off my property. She exploded online, posting long rants in neighborhood forums, calling me a menace. But every angry post only made her look more desperate. Then came the final blow. A local journalist, Emily Chun, published a front-page story. HOA built private trails on land they don't own. It went viral locally. By sunset, Evelyn's empire of control began to crumble. 2 weeks later, county investigators confirmed the HOA had used resident funds illegally. Evelyn was forced to resign under pressure. Marcus quietly disappeared. Under new leadership, the HOA issued an apology and refunded part of the collected park fund. Sarah was elected interim president. Her first motion was to ban private fines unrelated to actual HOA property. As for me, I turned the tables one last time. I turned half the forest into a private wildlife reserve. Fully legal, fenced, and protected. No entry, no exceptions. Every morning, I sip my coffee and look out toward those woods. The same trees Evelyn used to parade through are now off-limits, by law. They fine me for hunting. I answered with ownership. Turns out, paperwork makes the best weapon. Sometimes revenge isn't loud, it's notarized. They fined me for hunting on land I didn't own. So I bought the land they worshipped and closed it forever. Evelyn learned the hard way. Control is temporary, but deeds are permanent. And peace? That's something you can finally own.